Welcome back to Cord Cutting today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, including the slow death of local news, especially in small markets. We'll tell you what's happening there on local ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC stations. Also, Spectrum wants to sell one of its cable TV networks. As many people are trying to get out of the TV business. Spectrum is also, we'll tell you what's happening. Pluto TV is adding more channels, and SpaceX wants to make internet from space even faster. These stories and a whole lot more coming up in a quick second. You can find a link to every story I'm about to talk about those, so you can read and learn more about them in the show notes and in the first pinned comment as I give you my opinions here about them. I love to hear your opinion. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, so YouTube recommends our videos to more people. Hey, before we get into the news of the day, one thing, yesterday you may have noticed a lot of streaming services not working. I covered this over at CordCarsNews.com. Amazon's AWS, Amazon Web Services, the hosting company that ends up hosting a lot of videos for services like the Roku channel and others, went down. Even it disrupted some streaming on some cable channels and others to things like Friendly and more. And Boost Mobile went down because of it, and a whole lot of other issues. Short update here. At the time of the recording in the late afternoon, it's still having problems. It seems like it comes up, goes down, comes up, goes down, causing pretty widespread problems with streaming and other products out there. So you're not alone. It was a widespread issue. Hopefully by the time I hit post on this in the morning tomorrow, those will all be fixed. But for now, if you're watching this and you were having problems yesterday, that's what was happening. All right, let's dive into this. If you notice a number of cable or local broadcast stations cutting back on news, you're not alone. It's an interesting thing because some local TV stations are actually investing more heavily in news, especially in mid-sized and larger markets. But smaller local markets that maybe aren't as profitable have seen significant cutbacks. A growing number of TV stations are simulcasting news from other stations now. For example, in Springfield, Missouri, the news now that used to have an ABC and a CBS affiliate now only has a CBS one broadcasting that feed on it. We see that in stations like California and more. It's not even that small of a market that's happening, but especially in the smaller ones. We're also seeing widespread layoffs as many large media companies are doing heavy layoffs along local news lines to cut costs. And we even see things like smaller stations being bought out by bigger companies. I think this is going to be a trend that we're going to see come more and more, and it may even come to larger markets in the future. For now, it seems to be mostly impacting small and mid-sized markets. And the reality is ad revenue is not what it once was. Because why advertise on television when fewer people are watching it when you can put the same ad on these streaming services cheaper and get more people? And because there's competition from these streaming services, the price that cable networks and broadcast TV networks in charge for their ads has gone down, cutting back on ad revenue. And while all this is coming at the same time that subscribers to paid TV services are dropping, meaning less revenue from subscriptions, all comes together to mean less money for television stations, and to cut back, they're cutting back on news. Now, interestingly, I talked about mid and larger size. We're actually seeing a flip side here a little bit of mid-size and larger companies and networks spending more money on local news because it's cheaper than syndicating bigger ones. They already have the staff, they already have the facilities that they've invested in, so they're doing more. But the smaller ones struggle. So we'll keep an eye on this. So if you're noticing the slow death of local news, that's why, that's what's happening. We're going to keep an eye on it. But I am very concerned about how local newspapers are gone, radio stations don't do news anymore like they used to in many areas, and now local TV stations are coming back. All put together is, while we have tons of national news, local news is increasingly becoming a thing of the past. All right, let's keep moving along. Another cable TV network's up for sale. Spectrum's Sportsnet cable TV network is going up for sale. Now, this is a regional sports network that shows the Lakers content. It's really focused 90%, I think, on them. It's going up for sale. We'll see what happens there. Spectrum wants out of owning cable TV networks, or at least this cable TV network, with the deal. If you're a Pluto TV customer and enjoy free ad-supported content, they've been adding channels. They have 13 new channels been adding. A lot of them Warner Brothers Discovery related channels. Now I have a full list there of everything that's been added so far this month. And it includes things like Rustic Retreat by Warner Brothers, Home Crashers, Chef vs. Chef on the Food Network, Home Cooking by the Food Network, and more. Other ones like Universal Movies and Wrestling Central, I should say, are all added. If you want a full list of all 13 channels added, check out the post in the show notes there to find out more. Hey, if you've been thinking about Starlink or you are a Starlink customer, Starlink is promising to upgrade their service to a version 3 satellite. Now this satellite's significantly bigger than the older ones and will use their new Starship that they've been testing and had a really successful test recently to launch it. Now the big thing here is it can handle up to 60 terabytes per second downlink, which means they can get a lot more data, a lot less network congestion, and offer speeds up to 1 gig to customers with that. Now exact details and if there will be a different plan or cost for that is unknown. But the big selling point of these dishes for people even without the speed upgrade is the ability to handle more traffic, reduce congestion, and make it much more usable during peak hours. I will say I know several people who use it who've been very impressed with the speed of internet from SpaceX, but now it's going to get even better with the new satellites. No timeline yet on when they're going to start launching, but hopefully soon. So in TV history, we got an interesting one. It's actually a book that had a big impact on movies in general and became a popular movie. 70 years ago this week, The Return of the King from the Lord of the Rings trilogy was published. It's the final book in the original trilogy. Later became a blockbuster movie, but the series itself had a massive impact on movies and television. To this day, is highly cited with that. And the movie from J.R.R. Tolkien came out 70 years ago this week. All right, let's keep moving along. I mentioned this earlier, but I had a story in here about it. We talked about Boost Mobile went out. Turns out that Dish's prepaid wireless phone service is using heavily Amazon Web Services on the back end. It's prevented customers from being able to make calls. It's been down most of the day. Hopefully by the time I post this, it's back on live. All right, and if you're an AT&T internet customer, get ready to pay more starting end of November, beginning of December, depending when your next bill renews. You're going to go up $5 a month. All AT&T internet bills are going up $5 a month with this on it. So keep an eye on that. Maybe it's time to check out some of that 5G home internet, other fiber competitors, or cable TV. Shop around. Check your prices. I highly recommend people every couple of years to reevaluate what they're paying for things like home internet. You may find cheaper options now. You'd be amazed how many options have moved out. Just recently, Verizon's 5G home internet came to where I am, where it wasn't in the past. All right, a few other stories I thought were interesting. One kind of raises a bigger question, but with this, I'll talk about it in a second. But the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, is launching a marketplace for inactive accounts where you could buy the right to that name. Now, a few things. You need to be a premium member. If you ever stop paying for premium, you lose that name. But it tries to address the fact that a growing number of usernames are taken. And what do you do with that? How do you get your hands on one? You know, if I have one and I pass away and in 20 years, my grandson or great-grandson has the same name as I have and he wants to use it, how can he? Because it's blocked. He has to throw some weird numbers or something on it. And that's a growing problem we've seen many people try to do. Gmail recently did this with inactive Gmail accounts. If somebody's never used one in over 2 years, they'll be put back up available for use. There's a few caveats. If you create a YouTube video or used it in certain ways, they'll lock it. But that raises the question about our digital footprint after we pass. What happens? Does my social media accounts just one day vanish because somebody else wants the handle? And for how long? Well, this may not be a massive problem now, but in 30, 40, 50 years from now, at what point will we say that there's not a lot of usable usernames left out there? We'll have to keep an eye on that. That's a bigger problem that someday in the future we're going to have to address. And lastly, to kind of wrap it up on a shorter video today, this one I just thought was funny, but hey, maybe it's coming here. We're all sick of ads, right? you gotta watch an ad for this. Even if you pay, you gotta get ads, or you upgrade for an extra fee not to have ads. Well, in China, in public restrooms, if you want toilet paper, you can get it, but you must watch an ad now. Yep, you scan a QR code with your phone, you watch an ad on your phone, and then boom, the toilet paper comes out. Now, I know in many countries around the world, you take your toilet paper with you because it's not regularly supplied in public bathrooms. But I thought this one was interesting. And wouldn't surprise me at all if that came to the United States. Scan this QR code and watch the internet, or watch a ad in order to get your toilet paper, or you're out of luck. But what happens when like AWS goes down, if that affects the ads and no one can get toilet paper? Definitely seems like this is a big problem waiting to happen. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Until then, take care. Be safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon.